My wife betrayed me, taking our family's savings and secretly bringing into the world a child fathered by her lover. Retribution. These dumbbells carry a weight less than that of treachery. Stephen Reed found himself reeling on the day his wife revealed her pregnancy with another man's child. A revelation that coincided with her request for him to sign documents that would bind him financially to the situation. He sat in his truck outside the clinic, the paternity test results clutched in his hand, a bitter irony swirling around him as the truth his instincts had been shouting for months finally came to light. The factory whistle pierced the somber December sky of Cleveland, heralding the conclusion of yet another shift. Nathan meticulously folded the papers, tucking them away into the pocket of his jacket, right beside the recording device he had been carrying for the past 3 weeks. Everything was on the brink of transformation, yet not in the manner Lena had envisioned. The snow crunched beneath Nathan's boots as he made his way up the driveway to their unassuming 2-story home. At 38, he had dedicated 15 years to the night shift at Cleveland Steel, meticulously saving every penny to ensure that Lena could complete her degree and ascend the corporate ladder at TechFlow Solutions. Now she was earning double his salary as an HR manager, and he could sense the way she regarded him, as if he were a remnant of a life she had long since left behind. "You're late," Lena called from the kitchen as he hung up his coat. Her gaze remained fixed on the screen, fingers dancing swiftly over the keyboard. Even in the final stages of her pregnancy, she upheld the refined allure that had initially captivated him at a college gathering 2 decades prior. Her auburn hair cascaded in perfect waves, and her makeup remained impeccable, even as the clock approached midnight. As time passed, Nathan responded, easing into the well-loved recliner that once belonged to his father. "Obligations do not settle on their own." Lena's laughter resonated with an absence of warmth. "Concerning that matter, we need to talk." She closed the laptop and turned to face him, one hand gently resting on her rounded belly. The gesture appeared meticulously rehearsed, as if every movement had been carefully calculated. Nathan had come to understand these instances, when Lena had made a decision and was gearing up to frame it as a conversation. Miles suggested that we ought to contemplate a larger space. She remarked, "A choice that better suits our expanding family." Nathan's jaw clenched with tension. David Lawson, the sales director at Lena's company, had become a regular subject of discussion over the last 6 months. Miles often finds himself pondering this thought. Miles asserts that he possesses knowledge about real estate. Miles possesses a keen understanding of investments. Nathan had encountered him on 2 occasions, a towering figure sculpted by the gym, exuding a self-assured smile that suggested he had never faced rejection. Nathan spoke with caution. "Miles has many thoughts. However, he is not the individual responsible for covering the mortgage payments. That is precisely the issue at hand." Lena's voice held a sharpness that he had been noticing with increasing frequency. "You continue to perceive us through the lens of our days as financially struggling students. I am finally earning substantial income. Nathan, we have the means to pursue something of greater quality. If we weren't so focused on impressing your colleagues every weekend, we could indulge in many more things." The words lingered in the space that separated them. Lena's eyes sparkled with an enigmatic glimmer that left Nathan perplexed. Frustration, remorse, or perhaps simply irritation at the necessity of upholding the facade. Is that truly your perspective? Am I attempting to captivate others? She rose gracefully, gliding toward the window. Perhaps I've grown weary of feigning joy when our reality tells a different story. Nathan sensed a chill unfurling within the depths of his stomach. What is the implication of that? We must confront the reality of our situation with honesty. Lena pivoted to face him, her demeanor shifting into the familiar guise he had come to identify as her artful persuasion mask. "We have transformed since the day we exchanged our vows. Our desires diverge. I desire what I have always desired: a family, a sanctuary, someone who gazes at me without the disdain of a thing clinging to the sole of her shoe. Avoid being overly theatrical." Lena inched nearer, her fingers stretching out toward his hand. "I cherish you, Nathan. Perhaps it is time to delve into the implications of that in the context of our contemporary society. Perhaps we ought to embrace a greater sense of openness." The word struck him with the force of a tangible impact. Unseal. Some couples find a way to thrive, openly communicating their needs rather than stifling one another with antiquated expectations. Her thumb glided softly over his knuckles. Miles is surrounded by companions who— Cease. Nathan withdrew his hand. Cease this immediately. I am striving to mend the fabric of our marriage. Nathan. I am seeking a path that leads to happiness for us both. Through intimate connections with others? By embracing the truth of our desires rather than feigning a life in a nostalgic 1950s dream? Lena's voice ascended. In that moment, she paused, her gaze drifting toward the stairs. Understand that this may not follow the conventional path. Perhaps the conventional approach no longer serves our needs. Nathan rose gradually, as if he were wading through a dense, viscous liquid. What is the duration? For how long exactly? For how long have you been sharing your nights with him? The quiet lingered in the air between them. Lena's face danced through a myriad of expressions. What an unexpected turn of events. Computation. Departure. At last, she raised her chin, embodying the defiance that had once captivated him. Is it significant? Our focus is on what lies ahead, not what has already transpired. It holds significance for me. 3 months, she murmured softly. Perhaps 4. It wasn't something I had anticipated. Nathan. Simply occurred. Nathan nodded as if she had merely shared the day's weather report. What about the baby? What is to become of the baby? Does it belong to me? Lena's complexion drained of color. Certainly, it belongs to you. How could you possibly pose such a question? It seems the moment has finally arrived. Wouldn't you agree? For months prior, you found yourself frequently burning the midnight oil, attending those team-building gatherings. Returning home, enveloped in the alluring scent of luxurious cologne. You seem to be overly cautious. Am I? Nathan delved into his jacket pocket, retrieving the neatly folded papers. For I am already aware of the answer. Lena gazed at the paternity test results, her expression shifting through a whirlwind of emotions. Did you conduct tests on my baby? I conducted an examination on the infant you are expecting. The document you wish for me to endorse. The one you've been deceiving for months. Nathan, allow me to elucidate. Are you able to? Could you clarify your intentions behind planning to present another man's child as my own? Could you clarify why you've allowed me to purchase nursery furniture and paint the spare room while you share a laugh about it with your friends? I found no humor in it. Not at all? Nathan retrieved his phone and pressed play on a recording. Lena's voice, crisp and resonant, echoed through the speaker. He truly evokes a sense of pity, to be honest. Inquiring about my prenatal vitamins, completely unaware that they aren't intended for his child. Miles believes it would be best to reveal the news after the birth. Render it an accomplished fact. Lena's friend Carly's voice replied, That's brutal. It fills me with joy. He will always remain by your side. He embodies the essence of a truly good person. Nathan halted the recording. That day was last Tuesday. You found yourself enjoying a meal at that trendy spot on Euclid. Did you choose to follow me? I passed by. Your voices resonate. Nathan slipped the phone into his pocket. There's something amusing about those paternity papers you're asking me to sign. It's not merely about recognizing the infant. They concern the obligation to provide financial support for the child, regardless of the marital status change. Lena's facade finally shattered. Nathan, I implore you, allow me to elucidate. The situation is intricate. Indeed, it is not. Nathan ascended the staircase. It is the most straightforward thing imaginable. You concluded that I no longer met your standards, yet you still wish to retain my presence to finance your new existence. You and Miles shared a hearty laugh over the absurdity of the factory worker who would take on the responsibility of raising another man's child and express gratitude for the opportunity. Where are you headed? To gather a few belongings. I shall be residing at Mark Stevens's for a time. Nathan, hold on a moment. We can find a solution to this. The arrival of the baby need not alter the bond we share. He lingered at the foot of the stairs. Indeed, you are correct. It remains unchanged, for there exists no us. It has been absent for months. I simply failed to recognize it. Please refrain from this action. Do not sacrifice 2 decades for a single misstep. An error? Nathan glanced over his shoulder at her. What aspect contained the error? Sharing a bed with Miles? Conceiving a child? Or being discovered? Lena's expression grew steely. Very well. You desire to assume the role of the victim. Assume the role of the victim. However, let's not act as if the blame rests solely on my shoulders. You exited this marriage long before now. You ceased your efforts to embody the man I required. And who might that man be, Lena? The individual who earns a substantial income, enabling them to purchase a home that you can proudly showcase? The individual who compliments your presence at corporate gatherings? The individual who spares you from feeling awkward in the presence of your learned companions? The individual who persists in embracing life at the age of 38. The words struck with an intensity that Nathan had not anticipated. That he gazed at his wife, soon to be his ex, and beheld a stranger before him. When did she transform into a person capable of uttering such harsh words? When did he transform into a person worthy of it? Indeed, he murmured softly, I surrendered. I relinquished the belief that I held any value. I relinquished the hope that someone might cherish me for my true self rather than for the offerings I could bring. He ascended the staircase. That comes to a close now. Nathan, I implore you. I apologize. I didn't intend to. Oh, but you did. He lingered on the landing. Your words were filled with sincerity. At long last, after months of silence, we are embracing the truth between us. After a span of 20 minutes, Nathan hoisted a solitary duffel bag and made his way to the truck. Lena lingered in the doorway, her arms encircling herself, seeking warmth against the biting chill. This isn't over, she declared. One cannot simply turn their back on the obligations that bind them. Nathan tossed his bag into the passenger seat and pivoted to face her once more. Indeed, you are correct. I cannot abandon my obligations, yet I can certainly distance myself from your deceit. He navigated the desolate streets of Cleveland, gliding by the silent factories and barricaded shops that had once pulsed with the vibrant life of a bustling metropolis. As he sat at the red light, he retrieved his phone and dialed Mark Stevens's number. Nathan, is everything all right? Would it be possible for me to stay at your place for a few days? I shall elucidate upon my arrival. Certainly, you are able to. Do you happen to know the location of the spare key? Nathan ended the call and pressed on with his journey. In the reflection of his rearview mirror, the warm glow of the house that had been his home for 15 years lingered in his sight. Yet, he came to understand that home transcended mere geography. It was the sensation of being desired, of being cherished, of being embraced for your true self rather than for what you could offer. For 2 decades, he had endeavored to prove himself deserving of love. At that moment, he was poised to discover the sensation of relinquishing the burden of worthiness. Mark Stevens's apartment perched above a corner store in the historic Polish neighborhood, comprising 3 rooms infused with the lingering scents of cigarettes and coffee. Mark Stevens embodied a paradox, holding a philosophy degree from Case Western, yet dedicating 2 decades to factory work. He was a man who delved into Nietzsche during his lunch breaks while possessing the skill to rebuild a transmission without sight. So she's been pretending to build a life with pretty boy while you've been the one footing the bills, Mark Stevens remarked, pouring coffee from a pot that had clearly endured better times. How long have you known? Under suspicion for months. It was confirmed yesterday. Nathan lingered at the kitchen table, his gaze fixed upon the paternity test results. There's a certain admiration I feel for the meticulous planning involved. Become pregnant, persuade me to endorse the documents, and even if I were to discover the truth later, I would still bear the legal obligation. What will be your next step? Initiate the divorce proceedings, challenge the paternity, and embark on a new beginning. Mark Stevens ignited a cigarette and reclined against the counter. A reasonable man would act in such a manner. Yet, it is rare for sensible individuals to find themselves at this hour, with their existence condensed into a mere duffel bag. Mark Stevens's gaze was keen, framed by his wire-rimmed glasses. The question that lingers is, what sort of man do you truly embody? Nathan pondered this. I have long believed myself to be a good man. reasonable, just a person who honored his commitments and showed kindness to others. And where has that led you? Deceived and made to look foolish. Perhaps the moment has arrived to cease the pursuit of goodness. Mark Stevens took a seat opposite him. Perhaps the moment has come to embrace effectiveness. What does it signify? This indicates that she proclaimed hostilities against you several months prior. You were unaware of the battle you were engaged in. Mark Stevens flicked his cigarette into a coffee mug. You stand at a crossroads, to yield or to resist. However, should you choose to retaliate, ensure that Mark Stevensy is firmly within your grasp. Nathan devoted the following 3 days to contemplating Mark Stevens's words. He ventured to his workplace, returned to the modest apartment, and set about crafting his plans. This was a departure from the meticulous planning that had characterized his entire existence. Prudent, cautious, perpetually contemplating the ramifications. This felt distinct. This was a calculated move. On Friday, he feigned illness and made his way to downtown Cleveland. He made his initial visit to a lawyer's office nestled within the Terminal Tower. A woman by the name of Olivia Grant, renowned for her expertise in the realm of family law. In her 50s, she possessed silver hair and a no-nonsense demeanor, a testament to the years spent navigating the treacherous waters of deceitful partners. You wish to challenge paternity and initiate divorce proceedings, she remarked, examining his documents. That is quite clear. The recording you possess may not hold weight in a courtroom, yet it proves valuable for the art of negotiation. What is the status of the documents she requested my signature on? It was a wise decision to refrain from signing them. In the state of Ohio, once you sign an acknowledgement of paternity, contesting it later becomes a formidable challenge, even in the face of DNA evidence. Patricia reclined in her chair, a moment of stillness enveloping her. Your wife is far from foolish. She was acutely aware of her intentions. Am I eligible for alimony? Improbable. Both of you are employed, and her earnings surpass yours. Yet, we can advocate for a decisive separation. No partner will endorse either path. Nathan gave a slight nod. What is the status of the house? Shared property? One of you will need to sell, or perhaps one will buy out the other. Patricia jotted down her thoughts on a legal pad. I must inquire. Are you certain you wish to embark on this journey? The process of divorce can be both financially burdensome and emotionally exhausting. At times, partners find a way to reconcile their differences. We have moved beyond that stage. On Monday, we shall proceed to file the necessary papers. In the interim, ensure that every detail is meticulously recorded. Document every exchange you have with your wife. And Nathan, please refrain from making any reckless decisions. Regardless of the intensity of your anger, refrain from providing her with any ammunition that she might wield against you. Nathan's next destination led him to a gym nestled within the flats, a repurposed warehouse that served as a sanctuary for dedicated fighters honing their craft. He discovered it on the internet, captivated by the raw authenticity of the images. No shiny machines or reflective surfaces, only heavy bags and tattered mats, inhabited by men who bore the marks of true conflict. The proprietor was a former Marine, Henry Thompson, sturdy as a fire hydrant. His scars narrating tales of the past, he scrutinized Nathan from head to toe, his gaze sharp and discerning, honed by years of evaluating the potential for brutality in men. Have you ever been in a fight? Tommy inquired. High school wrestling, just a casual affair. What knowledge do you seek to acquire? What are some ways to cause someone pain without facing legal consequences? Tommy flashed a grin. So, boxing it is? Perhaps a touch of jiu-jitsu? Permissible, provided there is mutual agreement. He motioned toward the cumbersome bags. It seems you have some pent-up emotions that are eager to be expressed. Perhaps something along those lines. Excellent. Anger serves as a powerful source of energy. One must simply master the art of control. With a deliberate gesture, Tommy presented him with a pair of gloves. Reveal your offerings to me. Nathan dedicated the following hour to striking the bags, his knuckles eventually breaking through the gloves, bloodied yet resolute. It was a sensation that transcended mere goodness. After months of enduring, he finally sensed a shift. as if he were stepping into the arena rather than merely weathering the storm. "You've got potential," Tommy remarked as Nathan dried himself off with a towel. "Yet you are battling with fury." Furious warriors often falter in their judgment. "Return on Tuesday, and we shall begin your journey to mastering the art of strategic combat." As dusk settled, Nathan made his way back to the house to gather additional clothes. Lena occupied the living room, engaged in a conversation on the phone. Her gaze lifted as he stepped inside, a veil of caution shadowing her features. "I have to go," she said into the phone. "Nathan has arrived." She ended the call and faced him. "It's time for a conversation." Nathan made his way toward the stairs, dismissing the notion with a firm, "No, we don't. I refuse to put my name on any divorce papers." Nathan came to a halt. "There is no option available to you. If I have the opportunity, I will certainly test it. I could prolong this indefinitely, Nathan. Ensure it exudes luxury. Transform it into something unappealing." Lena's voice exuded a serene composure, measured and deliberate. "Alternatively, we might find a way to come to an agreement." "What sort of thing are we discussing?" "You do not challenge the question of paternity. Please assist me in caring for the baby that I in return. I shall maintain silence regarding Miles. We could certainly devise a mutually beneficial arrangement." "Are you suggesting we maintain the facade of marriage while engaging in infidelity? Let us conduct ourselves with maturity rather than indulging in theatrics." Lena rose to her feet, drawing nearer. "Consider it, Nathan. You depart with emptiness in your hands. I will take the house, the baby, and you will still be responsible for support. Alternatively, we could remain married, you could assist in raising a child, and all would be well. All but me. You will find your way. You consistently do." Nathan gazed at his wife, perceiving her with a clarity that felt unprecedented. She was neither cruel nor evil. She possessed a pragmatic nature. In her thoughts, this was merely another negotiation, yet another puzzle to unravel. Her request for him to embrace a facade, to nurture a child not his own, to feign joy while she pursued her clandestine romance, were merely nuances to be navigated. After a moment of contemplation, he finally replied, "I'll think about it." Lena's lips curled into a smile. "Excellent. Embrace the moment. However, do not linger too long. I am currently presenting, and inquiries from the audience are beginning to arise." Nathan ascended the staircase, gathering additional garments into his bag. In her bedroom, now transformed into a sanctuary of memories, he caught a whiff of Miles' cologne lingering on the nightstand. The man had occupied their home, shared their bed, all while Nathan toiled away at his job. The pent-up fury that had been brewing for weeks was on the verge of eruption. Instead, he retrieved his phone and began to capture the moment on video. On the evening of December 15th, at precisely 8:30 p.m., Emily Turner issued a stark ultimatum regarding the divorce proceedings. "She will contest them unless I consent to raise David Lawson's child as if it were my own. She has also confessed to granting her partner entry to the shared residence." He slipped the phone into his pocket and completed his packing. As he made his way out, he paused in the kitchen, lifting the lid of the laptop that Lena had carelessly abandoned on the counter. She had never altered the password. Their anniversary date remained unchanged, and her email account was still signed in. Nathan dedicated 10 minutes to perusing the exchange of messages shared between Lena and Miles. The particulars unfolded in a manner far more grim than he had ever envisioned. It wasn't merely an affair. They were envisioning a shared future. Miles gazed thoughtfully at the array of apartments before him. Lena delved into the world of divorce lawyers. They had deliberated on strategies to enhance Nathan's child support responsibilities while reducing their own financial liabilities. That afternoon, the last message in the chain arrived from Miles. "The little one is starting to raise an eyebrow. Perhaps it would be wise to take a step back for a few weeks until he finalizes the paperwork." Lena had replied, "He will sign. He lacks the courage to choose otherwise." Nathan shut the laptop with a decisive click and made his way to the truck waiting outside. At long last, amidst the chaos that had enveloped him, a smile graced his lips. On Monday morning, the divorce papers were filed. By Wednesday, Nathan had transferred his funds to a distinct account, and engaged a private investigator to chronicle the affair between Miles and Lena. As Friday approached, he found himself prepared to begin his resistance. A delicate shift marked the beginning. Nathan stumbled upon something intriguing within Lena's emails. "Hey sis, I just wanted to share some exciting news about the baby's due date. Can't wait to meet the little one." The calculations were nearly a month askew, implying that Lena had been untruthful about the timing of conception, even to her own family. Nathan sent the email to his lawyer, accompanied by a note that would aid in constructing the timeline of deceit. The subsequent maneuver was decidedly more straightforward. Nathan discovered that Miles often visited an exclusive gym in Beechwood, a venue where executives gathered to sculpt their bodies and forge connections. After 2 weeks of careful planning, Nathan finally secured a guest pass, thanks to a friend of Mark Stevens's who was employed at the venue. Miles stood out effortlessly, his tall frame and sun-kissed skin accentuated by the luxurious workout attire he donned. He commanded the attention of a circle of younger men, who seemed captivated by every word that flowed from his lips. Nathan observed him for an hour, taking in his routine, his habits, and the air of casual arrogance that surrounded him as the sun dipped below the horizon on Thursday evening. Nathan lingered in the parking lot, anticipation building as he awaited Miles' arrival. "David Lawson?" Nathan emerged from the shadows. Miles whirled about, his expression shifting between bewilderment and understanding. "Nathan? What brings you to this place?" "Desiring to confront the individual who has been sharing my wife's bed." Nathan spoke with a serene, easygoing tone. "I thought it was about time we had a conversation. Listen, I'm not sure what Lena shared with you, but she hasn't mentioned a word to me. I unraveled the mystery on my own." Nathan edged nearer, observing the way Miles retreated a step. "The results of the paternity test have arrived. Congratulations, you are about to embark on the incredible journey of fatherhood." Miles' complexion drained of color. "That cannot be done. The truth of DNA is unwavering. In contrast to certain individuals." Nathan retrieved his phone from his pocket. "Are you ready for something intriguing? Your child's mother has been spreading the word that you are merely a passing fancy, insisting that she has no intention of leaving her husband for you. That is simply not the case. Absolutely not. Allow me to share a piece with you." Nathan initiated the recording of Lena's conversation with her sister. Lena's voice resonated, crisp and distinct. "Miles believes we're about to embark on a whimsical game of house, yet I refuse to sacrifice 15 years of marriage for a fleeting season of intimacy. Nathan possesses an unwavering dependability. He will attend to the baby, allowing me to maintain my connection with Miles on the side." Miles' complexion shifted from a ghostly pallor to a deep crimson. "Did she really say that? She expresses many sentiments, particularly about how you bolster her self-esteem, yet there seems to be little more beneath the surface. Your lack of maturity disqualifies you from being a true father. How she plans to extract child support from you while remaining married to me." Nathan halted the recording. "It seems she is manipulating both of us. Your words lack conviction in my eyes. Then reach out to her. Inquire about the discussion she shared with her sister yesterday. Inquire whether she genuinely intends to part ways with me." Nathan tucked his phone into his pocket, a small gesture that signaled a shift in focus. Or perhaps inquire about her motivations for exploring ways to secure child support from several fathers. Nathan turned and strode away, leaving Miles alone in the parking lot. He pressed forward, the weight of the other man's gaze lingering on his back. As dawn broke, Nathan's phone began to ring. Lena stood there, her fury palpable. "What words did you exchange with Miles?" "We engaged in a dialogue, one man to another. He is inquiring unusual inquiries regarding child support and the reality of my departure from you." Lena's voice trembled with tension. "What words did you share with him?" "The undeniable reality. It seems that you are toying with both of us. I have no intention of deceiving anyone. I am endeavoring to discern what would be most beneficial for all involved. What serves the greater good is transparency. You may wish to consider giving this a try." Nathan ended the call. In mere hours, the situation erupted with intensity. Miles approached Lena at her workplace, pressing her for answers about whether she intended to part ways with Nathan. Lena, taken by surprise, uttered a remark that sent Miles fleeing in a fit of anger. As dusk settled, Lena found herself dialing Nathan's number, her voice trembling with tears. She uttered the words, "He broke up with me. He claimed I was manipulative and that trust was something he could no longer extend to me. Envision that. This is a consequence of your actions. You turned him against me. I revealed the truth to him. If that turned him against you, what does that reveal about the nature of your relationship?" Lena remained silent for an extended pause. "What is it that you desire, Nathan? Please sign the divorce papers. I need you to acknowledge that the baby is not mine. I need you to cease the pretense that we can resolve this matter. Should I fail to do so, chaos ensues. Your superior discovers the clandestine relationship you have been maintaining with a junior colleague. Your parents discover the news of the baby. Your friends from the church discover your thoughts on an open marriage." Nathan's voice remained unwavering. "The decision is yours to make. You scoundrel. I am in the process of acquiring knowledge." 2 weeks later, the ultimate showdown arrived. Nathan had planned to rendezvous with Lena at a quaint restaurant in Little Italy, under the pretense of discussing their impending separation. Upon her arrival, she discovered Nathan seated at a table alongside her parents, her sister, and Miles. What could this possibly be? Lena's complexion was as pale as snow. "We need to have a family meeting," Nathan declared. "Every individual has the right to uncover the truth." Nathan had meticulously prepared. He had presented copies of the paternity test, screenshots of text messages, and a recording of Lena's confession regarding her intentions to mislead him about the baby's parentage. "I don't understand," Lena's mother said, her gaze fixed on the test results. "Is the baby not Nathan's?" "It's complicated," Lena said, sinking into her seat with a weighty sigh. "No, it isn't," Nathan responded. "Your daughter has been involved in a secret relationship for several months now. She became pregnant by her lover and attempted to deceive me into believing the child was mine to raise." "Lena, is this really the case?" her father inquired. Lena surveyed the table, her gaze resting on the familiar faces of those who had cherished and placed their faith in her. "I stumbled along the way." "Errors?" Miles uttered his first words. "You mentioned that you were planning to part ways with him. You promised me that we would be united. I found myself in the midst of unraveling the complexities of my thoughts. Nathan remarked that you were attempting to navigate a dual path. Maintain my presence to cover the expenses while you indulged in domestic bliss with Miles. When that plan fell through, you intended for me to raise his child while you gathered support from both of us. That is not accurate." Then, Nathan laid the printed emails upon the table, inviting an explanation. "Your exchanges with your sister regarding the notion of having me as a fallback option, your discussions with Miles centered on optimizing child support, your inquiries into the intricacies of paternity fraud legislation." Lena's sister selected one of the emails and began to read it. "Oh my goodness, Lena. What crossed your mind?" "My thoughts drifted to what would be most beneficial for the little one. Nathan remarked that you were contemplating what would be most beneficial for you. As per usual." The clash endured for a span of 2 hours. In the quiet aftermath, Lena found herself seated at the table, a solitary figure as her family grappled with the weight of their newfound understanding. Miles departed, his words hanging in the air, accusations of deceit and manipulation echoing in her mind. Her parents had withdrawn, rendered speechless by the overwhelming shock. Her sister merely shook her head and turned to leave. "Do you find joy in this moment?" Lena inquired of Nathan. "Not at the moment, but I am available." Nathan rose to his feet. "Please sign the papers, Lena. This concludes here. What if I choose not to? Tomorrow, your boss will discover the truth about your affair. Your colleagues discover the news of the baby. Your friends from church discover your proposal for an open marriage." Nathan donned his coat. "You imparted a valuable lesson to me, Lena. You showed me that mere goodness falls short. At times, one must summon their inner strength." Nathan stepped out of the restaurant, greeted by the brisk chill of the Cleveland night and the distance. The sound of Lena's tears reached his ears. He experienced neither satisfaction nor a sense of triumph. only a profound, all-encompassing weariness that seeped into his very bones. The phone vibrated with a sudden urgency. A message from Mark Stevens. How did it unfold? Nathan responded with a few keystrokes. The end has come. Excellent. Join me at Sullivan's gym. I have an intriguing individual I'd like you to encounter. Nathan navigated the city streets, gliding by the house that had once been his sanctuary, and the factory that had consumed a decade and a half of his existence. The gym buzzed with energy, even in the late hours, as men channeled their frustrations into the rhythmic thuds against heavy bags and one another. Mark Stevens engaged in conversation with a man Nathan did not recognize, an older gentleman, impeccably dressed, exuding a confidence that spoke of triumph and accomplishment. Nathan, it is William Scott speaking. He possesses a construction company and has been searching for an individual to oversee his operations in Cleveland. Kane grasped Nathan's hand firmly, his keen gaze scrutinizing him intently. Mark Stevens mentioned that you're seeking a new beginning, something along those lines. I seek an individual capable of navigating the complexities of interpersonal dynamics, overseeing projects with finesse, and adeptly addressing challenging circumstances. Mark Stevens believes you possess great potential. Nathan surveyed the gym, observing the men who had discovered their strength through the most arduous of trials. When shall I begin? Monday, should that pique your interest. I find this intriguing. Kane gave a slight nod before turning and making his way down the path. Mark Stevens gave Nathan's shoulder a hearty clap. A fresh start. A different chapter. What's the sensation like? As if I am finally emerging from a deep slumber. Nathan dedicated the following hour to striking the heavy bag, channeling the remnants of his fury into each powerful blow. Upon completion, he experienced a profound emptiness, yet a sense of clarity washed over him, akin to the relief that follows the breaking of a fever. The subsequent week saw the signing of the divorce papers. Lena took the step of moving in with her sister, carrying the weight of her solitude and the impending arrival of a child she felt ill-equipped to nurture. Miles had relocated to the Chicago office of the company, seeking to distance himself from the chaos he had a hand in creating. Nathan never laid eyes on his ex-wife again. Through the whispers of mutual acquaintances, he learned that she had given birth to a son, that she was grappling with the challenges of single parenthood, and that in her moments of desperation, she had reached out to Miles for help, only to find her attempts thwarted by his decision to block her number. He derived no pleasure from her pain. He experienced an utter void of sensation. 3 months had passed when Nathan strolled through the job site, his phone suddenly ringing. An unfamiliar number appeared on the screen. Nathan. It is I. Lena's voice was a mere whisper, tinged with defeat. I find myself in need of assistance. The infant is unwell and I find myself unable to bear the weight of the medical expenses. While I understand that you have no obligations towards me, I feel compelled to express, you are correct. I am not indebted to you in any way. Kindly. I find myself in a state of utter desperation. There is no one else I can reach out to. Nathan found himself at the heart of the construction site, enveloped by the symphony of laborers crafting something fresh and promising. Your decision has been made, Lena. You made the decision to deceive, to betray, to manipulate others. Now you must face the repercussions of your choices. I acknowledge my mistake. I acknowledge my mistake, yet the baby bears no fault in this situation. Indeed, he did not. Yet he does not fall under my obligations. He was never that. Nathan's voice carried a serene finality. Contact his father. Reach out to Miles. Perhaps he will lend you his assistance. He is ignoring my calls. It would be wise to devise an alternative solution. Nathan ended the call and tucked his phone out of sight. The construction persisted around him. Individuals crafting a foundation, an enduring creation destined to withstand the test of time. With a determined grip on his clipboard, he returned to the task at hand. The man who had once been ready to give up everything for the sake of love had vanished. In his stead loomed a figure more unyielding, more frigid, yet undeniably more powerful. One who recognized that kindness without limits was merely a synonym for frailty. A person who would no longer conflate goodness with worthiness.